Welcome back to Careers at the End of the World. I am your host, Jenn Walker Wall, and we are doing a special mini series on career clarity. What's getting in the way of you being able to say, I know what my next steps are, and what clarity looks like when it's not this like lightning bolt of absolute knowing, but instead is a series of breadcrumbs that we either are noticing around us or more likely that we have to intentionally follow and collect and make sense of. In last week's episode, I talk about three things that will absolutely stop your job search in its tracks. It will prevent you from being able to start, from being able to know what clarity you have, if any at all. It will keep you in this cycle of indecision for much longer than necessary. So if you haven't listened to that, please go back and listen to that. It is a very, very, very important piece of this. But today, in this week's episode, there's three things I'm going to talk about. And I think of these things, yes, as breadcrumbs, things that we follow to get to our destination here, to help us find our way, but really because people have this very high expectation of what career clarity can and should look like for them. Okay. And it's often very limited to specific job titles. Now, I'm going to talk about job titles and target roles. Spoiler alert, I'm going to do that in next week's episode. But what I want to talk about this week are three things besides that that you need to be tuning into. And I think of these things that I'll be covering in this series like dimensions of clarity. So we need to stop thinking about clarity as this very one-dimensional thing limited to job titles and start thinking about it as like it's like a cube. You've got six sides to it. And we want to really take our time and think about the meaning and impact of each of those sides, right? Each of these dimensions of clarity. I don't know who is out here telling everyone that job titles equal career clarity, but I think clarity as a concept works much better for us as like discerning, alignment oriented, mission driven professionals when we complicate it a little bit and we pay attention to all the facets and ways that it can show up for us. The three components I'm going to talk about today are internal. These dimensions of clarity actually come from you. External job postings have no bearing on these pieces that we're going to cover today. The first thing are your strengths and values. This is a really good opportunity to pay attention to what you contribute that you're proud of, what skills you like to use, what values you'd like to honor and have honored in your next opportunity. Another way to think about this is, what are you not getting to do currently? What values are you not honoring or having honored? There's a lot of ways to get here. But we start with the pieces. As you'll notice, these are all an inside job. Next, I want to hear about your goals. Okay. Do you want to increase your salary? Do you want to switch industries? Do you want to go back to school? What is it that you want out of this exchange, right? What is it that you want out of this transition? Maybe you're open to staying in the same industry. You'd like to increase your scope of responsibility, the level of autonomy with which you're able to work. This third piece is about your priorities. I want you to have a sense of what your needs and priorities are if you're going to change jobs, if you're going to shift your career. Do you have a sense of where you'd like to be salary-wise? I get a lot of resistance. This is an aside, it's not in my script. Maybe it'll make it into the podcast, maybe it won't. I get a lot of pushback when I ask people to have salary expectations for their job search. Using some financial parameters that make sense for your life is a very good way to have some cursory expectations for your job search. So, for example, I like being self employed, I like working for myself. But if I made half the amount of money I do, like it wouldn't work for me. So you have to have some like basic expectations for yourself financially. And so often when people come to me in the negotiation stage, they don't think about this first. Like they don't even know the target number to ask for instead of like, what am I negotiating for in this offer? Because we're not actually in that situation. Think instead, what are the parameters I need for my life? How much do I cost to exist? Right? a lot, probably, if you're anything like me. You want to think of this as like we're outlining a job. We're tracing the exterior of a job. We're giving a job some structure. And the reason we're doing that is because we want to select opportunities that more or less fit inside this structure. Okay. We'll get next week to like what those opportunities are and all of that. But understanding our strengths and values, understanding our goals and our needs and priorities, we're creating some criteria in order to assess opportunities and to pursue opportunities that are only in alignment with like our basic needs and intentions. People resist using salary as one of these parameters, especially when they want to make a transition. They often are like convinced that they'll miss some great opportunity that just doesn't pay where they want to be. Now, if you have a lot of flexibility salary wise, then have a really large range. If you don't, if have a lot of salary, flexibility. If you're not in a season where that's possible for you, I would say first of all, that's probably the most typical scenario for people. And what I want to suggest here is that the priorities that we're setting financially are going to help us choose opportunities that are in alignment with meeting our basic needs, meeting our financial goals. And there's not a whole lot of reason, again, unless you have some flexibility, to consider roles that are substantively outside of that range, right? Especially on the lower end. Career clarity is not just a job title. Some of it has to come from you. And we're looking at the exterior here. We don't have who the boss is or what the coworkers are like or even a job posting to like look at and evaluate to see what the responsibilities are. We're doing our part. We're articulating what we can and what we're bringing to the table here. And a lot of people will skip this and go right to the job titles. This part is going to help you evaluate that part. Okay, so if you haven't done this, start. I have been working on some reflection prompts and questions. I'm refreshing our curiosity to clarity resources, and I will be relaunching that. It's going to be a Black Friday special. That's my plan. If you need more support on this, if the DIY version isn't quite working for you, hang in there. Keep your eye on your inbox. And if you're not on my email list, please make sure you hop on my email list because that's where I'm going to share this first when it's ready. As always, thank you so much for listening. Come back next week. I've got 3 more dimensions of clarity that will help you hone in and get really tactical and bridge the gap from pre-job search to job search. I'll see you then.